Near, rip a hole in the sun. Welcome to Cum Paude. Why would you cum soft when you can cum louder? Yeah.
Welcome to Cum Paude, Cum Laude. We're back at it again with the white vans. Here we are, week number 2 of putting on this show back-to-back weeks because we're back into a production cycle. And as promised from last week, we're going to go through the regular season standing predictions. We're going to go week over week over week. We're going to talk about the big matchups in that game, maybe some upsets, maybe some people regaining some confidence in the games. Then we'll end up with a rolling standings throughout the year, every week over week. And then we're going to see at the end of the year where we're going to shake up with regular seasons. We nailed it last year. We had Pat going like 0-14. He ended up in the championship round. We had all kinds of missteps in our predictions last year. We're going to see if we get it a little bit better this year. We've taken into consideration bye weeks, matchups, all kinds of things. All kinds of stats have gone into it this year. So we're probably going to hit it dead on. Please don't be offended or do be offended by where you have been positioned here to be predicted to finish. When it comes to the playoffs, anything can happen. So this is just the regular season, and we're gonna get right to it. What we have here, we got the Medusas, the Twins, the Talons, Dodge City, Dame Judy, John Wilkes, and Laporta starting off the season 1-0. Some of the big notes here. We got the Wilkes Tooth surprising the Sword Dicks out of the gate with a tight victory. Projections are very close there. This might be an upset. Coming from being in second to last year, Wilkes Tooth coming out of the gate with a win. And the Birdman shootout victory over Big Dak should be a good matchup there. Two high-scoring teams going at it in week one. This happened to Big Dak last year where he lost week one, but put up some big points, but this one looks to be a high scoring matchup, but we got the Birdman taking the win. We go into week 2. We got 4 teams still at 2-0. Medusa lays the smackdown in a rematch of last year's championship against the Healthy Twins, and Big Dak recovers from his week 1 loss against the Hammy Ham Fist. You see 4 teams at 2-0, 4 teams at 0-2, everybody else at the middle ground. Week 3, Over the Moon Hammy finally gets off the snide and gets a win over ESPN. This is a pretty boring week. The teams that should win will win. 4 teams still at 3-0, 3 teams at 0-3. Week 4, Wilkes Tooth, another surprise win over the Doge City. They're just putting it together. They weren't happy with last year, so they're coming out strong, fighting, starting with a 4-0 start. Medusa remains undefeated with a big win over the Minnesota Sword Dicks, and the Healthy Twins recover against ESPN. Look at that theme. Teams maybe losing a game, and then they get to face ESPN, and they get their win going back again. So Healthy Twins does get another win, gets up to 500. 3 teams still at 4-0, 4 teams at 0-4. We're starting to get a little bit of a shakeup here by week 4. When the bye weeks are starting to happen, though. So we get the Doge City over the Bird, delivering the Bird their first loss with the bye week scramble. Both teams are trying to get them in there, but Dodge gets the edge. All Hail takes down Bussy with the bye week tankers. Both teams hit with the bye weeks. Don't know how they're going to put a roster together, but they find a way. Dame catches Medusa by surprise, as Medusa has some bye weaknesses in week 5, and Dame ekes out a win there to give Medusa their first loss. And then the Scroties capture W during the bye weeks for Big Dak. Big Dak is a very deep team, as we all know it, but even in week 5, they've got some bye week challenges that they have to try to overcome. They're not able to do that against the Sword Dicks. Leaves us with one remaining team at 5-0. That's right, it's John Wilkes Tooth. Finished second to last year, and they're coming out of the gate screaming hot with a 5-0 start. 3 teams at 4-1. Still 2 teams at 0-5. Not a big surprise there. Week 6, the Bird ends the Wilkes Tooth run, delivers the first loss to Wilkes Tooth. Laporta scrapes by the Bussy, and Scrody defeats ESPN in probably what will be the lowest scoring contest that we'll see this year, as both teams are riddled with byes in week 6. Bussy just barely able to sneak by with a loss there, as they are tanking this year, going 0-6. We got 4 teams locked up tight at 5-1. Some surprises again. Wilkes Tooth at 5-1. We've got Hammy sitting at 3-3. Big surprise with Jumbo Weenier. Only 1 win so far. I don't know if that's surprising you guys as much as it is me, but I thought this team could be a contender. Does not look like they're going to be a contender. Week 7, The Scroties barely sneak past Laporta. Again, watching out for those bye weeks. You'd think on paper this should be an easy win, but looking at the matchups, looking at projections, this could be a tight one, but the Scroties get the win. And, there's a Cum Bussy tie here. Both teams 0-6, and neither of them can really field a full roster. But what they do throw out there ends up in a tie. So both teams go to 0-6-1. And the Healthy Twins finds a way to get a win, helps them out there, gets a win over Dodge City. It's going to be a tough game, but Twins take the edge there. So we got two teams at 6-1, several teams at 5-2, and then we've got definitely a defining setup here in the bottom of our rankings with the Jumbo Wieners, the All Hails, the Cum Sale, and the John's Bussies halfway through the season. Man, this is going to be a quick Paude the way we're rolling through it, but that works. Week 8, a fully healthy Nick Chubb of Dame Judy's upsets the Beth's Healthy Twins. It gets another win under their belt. Medusa's overpowers Bird May Do. This could be another good matchup, and I almost just fell over, but we're keeping it going here. That looks to be a very strong matchup between Medusas and the Birdmans this year. Medusa does just throw out their very strong lineup. This is a non-bye week in Week 8, so they overpower. And Big Dak, yet again, another strong team, is just too much for the Dodge City, and they claim another win. Medusas separates themselves atop the standings. Deja Vu, 7-1. And we've got, our bottom feeders down there, Laporta, All Hail, Jumbo, Cum Sale, and John's Bussy. Week 9, we got some stuff happening here. So Laporta defeats Wiener. They're fighting for the bottom of the barrel there, but it just happens to be the Steelers bye week, so we know that equals an automatic loss for the Jumbo Wieners. Dodge City gets off their little losing streak with a win over the Scrody Sword Dicks. That's a good quality win. Medusa gets a scare against All Hail ESPN as they have Run CMC on a bye week and not much to replace him with, but they are still able to get the victory over a non-competitive team. And Hammy wins a tight one over Beth's Healthy Twins. You see those two locked up in the middle ground there in the standings, 5-4 each after Week 9, fighting for those final playoff spots. Medusa still remains top 8-1 with Bird, Talons, and Big Dak sitting there at 7-2. Plenty of teams at 6-3. Week 10, Doge City just absolutely wrecks Dame Judy Dench as Judy's got players on the bye week, and Dodge just brings the full hammer in, sets Judy back down to earth. Wilkes continues this best comeback season ever with a win over Beth's Healthy Twins. The Birdmen over the Swords, and the Cum over the Wiener. Wow, that's not representative here on the schedule or down below with a 0-9-1 showing up here on our Biden moment. Holy Moses. Showing up here in the standings record. We're going to have to talk to somebody in the studios about that. That should say that the Cum Sale is now 1-8-1 with the Jumbo Wieners being 1-9 after that. So we are going to have a mistake for the remainder of this production. Just ignore it, because what that's really going to shake out to is that the Cum Sale will have a better record than John's Bussy. But Cum probably didn't mean to win that matchup, but I'm sorry, the Wieners just don't have what it takes to win over the Cum. Week 11, Dame Judy with another shocker. I don't know who's putting on this production, but apparently they think that Dame Judy can take down some of the top dogs with a shocker to Bird. Swords over Hammy and another tight one. That one could go either way. And then Twins get a nice breather from a tough schedule there in the last couple of weeks against John's Bussy. So we've got Medusa still atop, 10-1 with Big Dak lurking at 9-2. Birdman falls to 8-3. Dame and Sword Dicks claiming those last couple of spots in the playoffs. And then Hammy and Twins still locked up there at 6-5. Looks like there's a lot of separation there between teams 1 through 9 and the rest of the field. Cum Sale, correction again from the last one, is going to be at 1-9-1. John's Bussy at 0-10-1, and Wien and Kinnear at 1-10. Week 12, we're nearing the end of the season. Dame Judy gets another win. Can you believe it? As Hamfist has Josh Allen on a bye week. Luck of the draw, we call it. ESPN gets a win over the Potties with a mean bye week spread for that team. The Swords get victory over the Healthy Twins to further solidify their run at the playoffs. And the Dodge City crushed by the buys against the Medusa. Medusa gets another win as Dodge City just is obliterated by bye weeks. So Medusa still atop, 11-1. Big Dak at 10-2. Birdman 9-3. Wilkes Tooth, the surprise of the year at 9-3. Dodge City, Sword Dicks, Dame Judy at 8-4. And then Hammy and Healthy still fighting for that final spot in the playoffs at 6-6. Here we go. Week 13. Hammy takes a close one over Wilkes. This is a big move for Hammy as they're trying to move up the list here to make that final spot in the playoffs. Big Dak gets the win over Medusa. This should be the game of the year, folks. Week 13 could be deciding that number one spot going into the playoffs. And Big Dak just throws out their hugely deep team. And by now, Medusa's probably wishing that they had a little bit more depth on their team. Should be a good one either way. Big Dak gets the win. And Bird continues a great season run with a win over the Twins. Twins are looking for wins. They're trying to get wins so they can find their way back in the playoffs and maybe make a surprise run. And that leads us to the final week of the year, week 14. Let's see what's going to happen. The Dame Judy's finishes strong with a win over Wilkes. Laporta Potty scrapes away with a win over Ween Kinnear, which solidifies them in that 4-10 spot. The Swords defies all the buys on their team and puts together with some depth to beat All Hail ESPN, launching them into that 10-4 spot. Cum and Bussy cannot field valid teams. They both must forfeit to each other and get yet another tie. Big Dak reaches deep for a win over Dodge and takes that number one spot. So here it shakes out. Big Dak 12-2, Medusa 11-3, Birdman 11-3, Sword Dicks 10-4, Dame Judi Dench 10-4, John Wilkes Tooth recovery year 9-5, Dodge City 9-5, Ham Fist Nation 7-7, Healthy Twins 7-7. We'll have to look closely at tiebreakers there to see who gets that final playoff spot. All Hail 4-10, Laporta Potty 4-10, Jumbo Weenier is at 1-13. Stat correction here. It was going to be nice and cute. It was going to be fun with both of these teams ending 0-12-2. But in reality, the Cum Sale will be 1-11-2, while John's Bussy does exactly what they plan to do and finishes 0-12-2 to get that number one draft pick spot. That is how it's going to shake up this year. That's the regular season standings. We've got some upsets built in here. They're not outlandish based on the projections or the matchups or the bye weeks. There might be a 5-point swing either way, so don't give me too much shit for what Dame Judy's doing here. But if we wanted to look a little bit more realistically, it'd probably be something a little bit more like this with three teams at 12-2, Dame's dropping down to 8-6. The bottom half still kind of shakes out the same, but removes a little bit of Paude production favoritism. I hope you've enjoyed this very quick, what they like to call Paude short, cum laude short, letting everybody know how it's going to be. This is just how it's going to be. Could be this way, could be that way. Either way, Cum Sale is going to win a game over Jumbo Ween Kinnears, and John's Bussy's going to end up in that bottom spot. We'll see, though, if Bussy can find a way for Weenier to drop down and get that number one and number two picks. They could be dangerous in 3 years. So let's see what happens. Thank you for joining this production. And I think at this point, we'll say good night, Fermi. Good night, Fermi.
Thank you for listening to the official podcast of the Public Honors College Fantasy Football League. Cum quickly, cum often, and cum loud.